Okay, so I'm not sure if some of you guys have seen this or not, but there's been a lot of discourse this week over the Mortal Kombat characters not being quote-unquote cool in regards to their roster. So we have this tweet right here from Black Furiosa that says, it was sparked off by this tweet right here that has a whole bunch of views. As you can see, this has 381,000 views at this point, but it's from Black Furiosa, and she says, niggas on my timeline trying to convince me Mortal Kombat has a cooler roster than most fighting games. Okay, so Game and Spence responds with the meme that says, when you know they lying, but you still listening. He says, MK has ninjas, elemental gods, special forces agents, cyborgs, cool monsters, four-armed gladiators, time lords, a guy who uses his own turn-off limbs as a weapon, and Johnny Cage, and you're gonna look me dead in the eyes and say that doesn't sound like the coolest roster ever. He had a typo, but that's what he meant. So let me go back here. And then we got Sinful Rat who says, Mortal Kombat has character ideas that sound cool, but besides Johnny Cage, no one has ever cared about the personality behind any of these descriptors. Yeah, it has ninjas, but are any of them interesting characters? On top of that, no, not really. Mortal Kombat 1 swapped Scorpion and Sub-Zero and nothing changed. Now, I don't agree with that because some things did change and we know that, right? But this gave me an idea. I want to rate who are the coolest fighting game characters in my opinion. Now, before we get started, I know how some of y'all be, so let me give a few disqualifiers and a few descriptors. Okay, so let's talk about the disqualifiers because I want to break this down before I get started because I don't want to see any bitch assness in the comments. So first disqualifier, this is my list. This is Lou's list. It's not your list. Meaning you don't have to argue me up and down about what character is missing or what character belongs or etc. This is my list, my experiment for fun. So that's the first thing. The second thing is, I only wanted to pick characters out of games that I'm well versed in, games that I played as a child, games that I played recently, games that I played over the course of my life, so that way I'm familiar with the characters and this is just like my own natural feeling about them and not no like weird type of biases where I'm trying to pick and choose from different criteria. I just wanted to pick based on characters that I've grown up playing and grown up seeing, right? So there's that. The third disqualifier, I didn't want to pick from like large franchises that had IPs already and they made fighting games because that would make the list take forever. So for example, like Injustice 2, like a Marvel versus Capcom type of game because of the Marvel characters coming over from that side. Also like Dragon Ball Fighters, I started to put them in here, but I started thinking like, if I bring in all these cool characters from all these different IPs that happen to have great fighting games, this list would be never ending. So I decided to pick characters that were only based on fighting games where I wouldn't have learned from them in any other place, and then games that I played. And then what was my last disqualifier? I had one more. Oh, this is the last disqualifier. So when I talk about the character being cool, I'm not referring to the character like icon. So for instance, how we have Liu Kang right here from Mortal Kombat 11. If we scroll down in the pool of other characters, we have Liu Kang from Mortal Kombat X, Liu Kang from Mortal Kombat 1. So essentially like that's what you see down here. It's all the characters down here just scrolling down, right? So essentially, when I put a character in any part of the list, I'm talking about the idea of the character overall. So not like Liu Kang in Mortal Kombat 1, Liu Kang in Mortal Kombat 11, Liu Kang in Mortal Kombat X, just the idea of Liu Kang overall, who Liu Kang is. When I talk about Sonya Blade, Johnny Cage, Ryu, I'm not talking about who they are in each game, I just mean the idea of them in general. So we're just thinking about the creation of the coolness. And then lastly, in regards to them being cool, I'm using kind of like a loose criteria where it's just based on like a feel thing. So some characters may have unfair advantages because like they're really big in pop culture. Like for instance, Ryu and Ken are well known from Street Fighter. Sub-Zero and Scorpion are well known from Mortal Kombat. They've been in movies, they've been in shows. We're not taking all of that into account because some characters don't have that. We're just strictly going off the idea of the character being cool and how they would fit into this list. So what I'm gonna do is, I'm gonna take the characters, we're gonna start putting them in slots. We have Elite Aura, we have Coolest, we have Lame, and then we have Honorable Mention. And Honorable Mention, essentially what I'm saying is, the character is impactful enough to be known and fit on the list, but they may not be distinguished enough to be considered lame, cool, or have Elite Aura. So if we put Honorable Mention, it would be somebody like TJ Combo from Killer Instinct. Well known, some people know who he is, a lot of people know who he is or whatever, but he's not impactful to the point where he needs like a descriptor. It's just like he almost made the list, but I decided to not have him in the list. So that's how we're gonna go about it. So we're gonna have some fun with this. I'm gonna try to be fairly brief in my description for each character because I don't want this video to be like 45 minutes. We'll see what it comes out to. For some characters, I'll give a longer description than others just based on whatever my feeling is. But let's go ahead and get this started. Let's have some fun with this and find out who are the top 5 coolest characters. I think I'm gonna break it down by putting them in categories. Then we're gonna start pulling people out, and we're gonna have a top 5 for Elite Aura. I think that's what I'm gonna go ahead and do. So let's go ahead and get this started. Now that you know the disqualification and the rules, again, no bitch assness in the comments. We're just having fun. This is my list. Let's go. Also, one last thing. Sorry if my voice sounds a little bit fucked up. I'm kind of fighting off flu-like symptoms right now, so if I'm sniffling on the mic, I'm sorry for that in advance, but you know it's that time of the year, allergies and etc. So let's go ahead and get this started. So what I'm gonna try to do is I'm gonna try to do the easy ones first. So we're gonna take guys out for honorable mention and see why I put them there. So who did let's see, let me go find, I know I had TJ Combo in here, because that's where I had the idea for honorable mention. So where's TJ Combo? Where is he? Did I bring him up here? I thought I did. I don't even see him. Oh, there he is right there, okay. TJ Combo, he's going to honorable mention. Now, the reason is because I think his name is super cool, being that his name is TJ Combo, which is actually really, really funny from Killer Instinct. But I always looked at him as like a knockoff Balrog that didn't have a ton of personality. So he's going in honorable mention. We're going to keep this kind of fast when it comes to certain characters. Okay, so we got that. Who else can I get out the way that's kind of easy? Some of you guys are gonna be upset with this, but I'm putting Leroy from Tekken 8, well, Tekken period. As I said, this isn't about the character and the game they're in, it's about the overall idea of them, like the overall idea of them. So Leroy is going in honorable mention. Now this may shock you guys because of his Wing Chun style and the fact he has a pit bull and jewelry and dreadlocks, just like me. But I put him in there because he's impactful enough to be noticed and recognized. But I don't think he's like some character that holds a ton of weight in the FGC as far as like games go. In my mind, I don't really think of Leroy at all when I think of Tekken, but I wanted to put him in here because his style is very unique. So I'll put him in honorable mention. Let's see who else. Quan Chi was another that I had for honorable mention. Recognizable enough because you don't see any other character that has like white skin and the omens that he has on his forehead, but I've never thought of him as being like somebody that people really care about. Like obviously we have Shang Tsung and Shao Kahn when it comes to like Mortal Kombat villains, but I always felt like that Quan Chi was more of like a background powerful sorcerer, but like not somebody we really ever cared about. So I'm gonna put him in honorable mention on my list. Who else can we put in here for honorable mention? Because we got some good characters in here. Brian from Tekken 8. Brian from Tekken. So with Brian, the reason I'm putting Brian in honorable mention is this. He's obviously a really strong character in the game, especially Tekken 8. Some people consider him broken and like one of the best. But I've always felt like he's just all power and strength, but no real personality. Like he stands out in regards to his gameplay and his skill set, but there's nothing about him that's really memorable. He's just like a popular character because he's fun to play, but I don't think he has like the type of personality we would give a fuck about. And remember, this is about the coolest characters. So cool means a totality of identity, swag, sauce, the idea of who you are, not necessarily just skill in the game. A really cool character could be somebody that's not great in the game, but they just seem to have like a certain level of aura, and Brian just isn't that person for me, right? All right, let's see, who else do we got on honorable mention? Who else do we have down here? I'm gonna hold him for the category of lame, so I'm not gonna put him there. Do we have anybody else that really needs to go in honorable mention? No, I want to put him in lame. I'm just scrolling through, just trying to see if anybody's worth honorable mention. Okay, this one is going to piss people off a little bit. I remember putting her in this group specifically for this category, and remember, this is my list, so this is why she's going here. I'm putting Anna Williams in honorable mention. Now, my reason for this is because she's obviously a really cool character that has cool moves. However, the archetype of the blonde bombshell that kicks ass, I've always felt like historically that belongs to Sonya Blade, and so because we can't have both of them in the same category for the same reason, I'm going to give Anna Williams the honorable mention, even though I'm sure some people won't agree, but that's why this is my list. Okay, let's see, who's next? Who's next for honorable mention? I'm going to piss more people off with this pick as well. I remember putting him in this category for this reason. I'm going to piss more people off with this pick. I think Yoshimitsu belongs in honorable mention. And the reason why, so this is kind of like one of my clarifications for honorable mention, is that if I put you in honorable mention, it's essentially to say, I think you're recognizable, but I don't think you're cool, but I don't think you're lame. So almost being an honorable mention is like, I don't want to classify you in the lame category. It's certain characters on here that I would put in honorable mention, but because they are lame to me, I'm going to put them in that category. I don't think that Yoshimitsu is lame, and he's also been in a Soul Calibur game and a Tekken game, but he doesn't strike me as somebody that has like a ton of appeal. He's just like a very mysterious samurai that actually does a lot of cool shit in the Tekken lore, but from a coolness perspective, he doesn't strike me as somebody that's cool. He's more for like the character, he's more for the player that wants to pick an obscure character and have fun with him, but he doesn't strike me as like a really cool character, but he's not lame. So honorable mention for Yoshimitsu. Okay, let's see. Who else do we have in here that's honorable mention? I feel I'm gonna give him cool because he kind of goes hand in hand with somebody else. So I'm not gonna put Heihachi in honorable mention like I was considering. I think I'm gonna lean him a little more up, but that's because of a byproduct of other characters. So we're gonna stay away from that one right now. Okay, do we have anybody else that's honorable mention? I wanna put him in the lame category. So let's just see here. Fulgore, Jago, Orchid. Okay, I think we're in a position where we can go to start placing people in their said categories as not just honorable mention. I'm kind of stuck in the middle between Chip Zanov. I think I want to put Chip in honorable mention for one reason and one reason only. I'm not really like a big Guilty Gear guy, but I enjoyed playing that game and I thought Chip was like a super smooth ass character. But since I'm not really using other characters from his game, it's just that I played him and I enjoyed him, I'm gonna put him in honorable mention solely because he's being mentioned based on the fact that I played him and I enjoyed him. But because I don't wanna compare him to the rest of his cast from his game, he's the only character I have in here from Strive, I'm gonna put him in honorable mention. I would've put him in coolest, but I'm gonna put him in honorable mention since he's by himself, right? Okay. Oh, one more, our blonde bombshell category. Sarah Bryant from Virtua Fighter. I think for the same exact reason that Anna, I feel like this. Only so many people can have the blonde bombshell archetype and that works. And since Sonya Blade is the top of that for me, I can't put Anna Williams and Sarah Bryant in that category for the same reason. So with that being said, those who are gonna be an honorable mention just because of the blonde hair, blue-eyed, kick-ass type of archetype, that belongs to Sonya Blade, so I'm not gonna give it to Anna and Sarah, which unfortunately puts them in honorable mention. I'm not gonna put them in lame, and I'm not gonna put them in cool because Sonya Blade is the coolest version of that. So that's why they're gonna go down there. Okay, let's see. Another honorable mention, T-Hawk. I think T-Hawk is a good honorable mention from Street Fighter. Remember him from back in the day. Nothing overly specific or cool about him outside of the fact that like having like Native American representation in regards to like his fighting style and stuff, kind of like Nightwolf from Mortal Kombat 11. And I don't think I put Nightwolf in the list. I was considering it, but I decided to give T-Hawk Nightwolf spot, but I'm gonna put him in honorable mention. Cool character, but nothing that's like mind-blowing in regards to like personality where he needs to be like higher up. But I do think he's a cool character, but more of an honorable mention character where he's not mind-blowing, but he's not lame. Okay, I think we're starting to get into the characters I want to place now based on who they are. And so with that being said, I'm going to start with the lame category for who I think is lame. So I know for a fact 2 of them that I put on here because I wanted them to go into the lame category. So I'm going to start with the first one, JP from Street Fighter 6. I don't think anything is really cool about JP. I kind of hate his style. The OG Rigu, who has like this fucking power that he shoots out, but then it has a cane, but then like wears really suave clothing. Unique type of style of character in regards to like what his approach is. But nothing to me about him is like super duper dope. So I'm gonna put him in the lame category because it's like a dude beating your ass in a cane with loafers and big muscles, but then he uses mostly like his cane and his power instead of using like real physical contact. I just think he's a lame ass character. Now this next pick of mine, some people are gonna be surprised that I have him in lame, but I'm gonna put him there. I think Zangief is kind of lame. Lame but effective, right? Big wrestler guy, will slam the shit out you, take 50% of your health. Some people enjoy playing him because his playstyle is like really peculiar, and it takes a certain level of patience to be effective with him. So I respect all of that. But just the idea of the big meathead who slams everybody around, I'm not really a grappler character type of guy. You know, I like speed and sauce and swag. So that's why I got him put him up there, because he's just not my style of character at all. Super, super lame. Next lame character. And it's kind of fucked up because in a way I kind of want to put him in cool, because it just depends on your personality if he has aura or not. He kind of has a little bit of aura. It's almost like he belongs in a category by himself in the middle, but I don't feel like making it. So I'm gonna put him in lame, but he's like lame adjacent. This is Valdo from Soul Calibur. Because of like the little freaky, weird ass movements, like he is a strange ass character, and that makes him cool to some people, but he always was kind of like a freaky ass boy to me, like with his weird body shit. So in a way, it's cool that they made him, because he has his own style. But then on the flip side of having his own style, his style is a little freaky and creepy, and whoever came up with this character has a very weird mind. So we gonna leave him in the lame category, okay? So we got that. Let's see, who's next on here? Who can we put in lame? Who do I think is lame? Oh, this is one. I don't really want to put him here, but I think he kind of is. Blanca's kind of lame. Blanca's kind of lame in the same way that Zangief is lame. Like, a cool idea of a character, very iconic in the OG Street Fighter games because of his look, being the only person in the game who wasn't human. But just kind of how he looks, his overall style, the overalls, the hair, the jewelry. Like, I just never found anything super dope about Blanca. Like, he's kind of goofy to me. Goofy but vicious at the same time. So I'm gonna put him in the lame category. Let's see, who do we have? Do we have anybody else that's lame left? I'm not gonna put him in lame. I was considering, but I'm not gonna put him in lame. Who else could be lame on here? I don't think we have anybody else left that's lame. Okay. This might piss some people off because he's an iconic character, but he's not cool. He's just iconic. He's goofy, but he's iconic. Now I'm gonna show him some love. I was considering putting Goro in the lame category, but Goro is iconic enough and brutal enough and such a recognizable figure. I'm gonna lean him towards cool. I was considering lame because of his fighting style, just like pure brute strength. I think Kentaro was actually cooler than Goro, but because Goro is more iconic, I put him on the list instead of Kentaro. That's what actually made Kentaro not get his spot. Kentaro probably would have been good for honorable mention. So even though we didn't put Kentaro on the list, he's down there somewhere. I'll just leave him out. We're gonna slide Goro to cool. He got a last minute vote in. Let's see here. Should I consider these two honorable mention? Because they're kind of one and the same, and they belong in the same spot. But because they belong in the same spot, and one of them is pretty cool, I'm gonna show some favoritism on both of these. Sector and Cyrax. Because they're essentially the same style of character, just with different weaponries, Sector having grenades and nets, Cyrax having rockets and a saw, I'm gonna let them rock and cool, because it's kind of like, since they're like 1A, 1B, they're kind of like Scorpion, Sub-Zero, they're kind of like Ken, Ryu. You can't really have one without the other. So I'm gonna put them both in the coolest category. That's where they go. I'm gonna put them both in the coolest category. Who else do we have left in here? This is gonna shock people. Now, this might be the one time where I picked a character based on the iteration of who he was. So I'm gonna put Eddie in cool. First of all, his style was always very iconic. Everybody knows about the way that he moves. That was always super iconic when he would go into his stance. But I don't like the Tekken 8 version because of the shorter hair. We always associated Eddie with that cool, kind of punk looking style, where he had his Capoeira style, where he would fight with, but he had the dreads and had the movement. So as a matter of fact, Eddie might be elite aura, but we're gonna keep him right here and see how this pans out, because I wanna keep it at a certain amount. Eddie could cross into elite aura. The only reason I think that Eddie won't is because the other characters that might make it there are so iconic, but Eddie is pretty fucking cool just overall as a character. All right, let's go. Let's try to keep it to the bottom end, because I wanna see who we're putting where. Who's lame? Who else? Okay, here's another lame character. Kung Lao. And the reason why is because it's actually Mortal Kombat's fault why Kung Lao is lame. He has the potential to be fucking saucy and cool because he trains as much as Liu Kang, but he's a little more prideful and loose with his training, a lot more flair and flash, which makes him cool. The problem is in every single game, they write him to like get his ass kicked or get killed or get whooped. So it's like he never really gets to have his moment in the sun as the true great Kung Lao, and that's what makes him lame. And it's heartbreaking to put him right there because as a true Shaolin monk, you know me, I'm a Liu Kang main, I want to show Kung Lao some love, but they be treating him so bad in the game that I gotta leave him right there. So unfortunately, Kung Lao's in the lame category. Let's see. Let's keep it on the low end. Okay, I'm gonna show some love right here. I think Kimberly is really cool. A new character for SF6. I don't know if there's any lore with Kimberly. As I said, I'm only focusing on the games that I've played and how I recognize these characters. So I don't know if Kimberly was around prior to SF6 or not, but I think she's a really cool, I think her style is dope because she's like young, energetic, got the music, got the acrobatic skills, you know, got the spray paint shit. I just think her whole entire identity is just really, really cool and a very unique character that you're really not gonna find anybody like her in any other fighting game. So that's what made me put her in the cool category. As much as I wanna put him in cool, the more I keep thinking about this, I've been looking at him and kind of skating past his icon for a minute. You're gonna be shocked by this. I'm gonna put Terry Bogard in honorable mention. And my only reason is because he is a cool character, but he's not mind-blowingly iconic, but he's very recognizable. You know what I'm saying? Like, he doesn't have a level of iconism that some of these other characters on here have. However, a lot of people are very familiar with the red hat, the long blonde ponytail, and the red vest. So because of that, I want to put him in honorable mention. And the reason why is because I don't want to put him in lame because he's too cool for lame, but he's not cool enough for iconic. Now, some people may have a gripe with that because of Kimberly being in cool, but as I said, this isn't always about iconism. Sometimes it's about the aesthetic of the character, but I want to give him an honorable mention because he's very recognizable, but I don't know if he's like mind-blowingly cool, but he's very recognizable, so that's why we put him right there. Okay, let's see. Who else do we have in here? I don't think we have anybody else who's necessarily lame. I think at this point, we just got cool characters and it's just a matter of where they go. So, our next cool character, I want to put in Maxi from Soul Calibur. I love his nunchuck usage. I love the hair. You know how I am about characters that move fast and move kind of smooth and have that sauce to them. Maxi was always dope with the way that he flipped his nunchucks around, the customization in Soul Calibur where you can have like a traditional nunchuck or you can have like a ball with spikes or many other things. Nunchucks with hooks, everything. Maxi was always super cool, so he has to go in that category. And since we're on that one, let's go ahead and put Taki in there as well. I know you guys are thinking about her huge breasts, but she was a character that I love because she was super fast. The way that she used her daggers, also super dope, very swaggy, very quick. You know how I am about characters that move with speed and sauce and style and charisma. She had all that, plus she had that body. And the reason she can go in this category is because she's not competing with Sonya Blade because she's not the blonde-haired bombshell. She's just a big-breasted chick with brunette, like with dark hair that has a nice-ass body and a gang of speed, and she doesn't fight like Sonya Blade and them. Like, if you think about it, Sonya and Nina are kind of the same person in a way, and Sonya's more iconic. So that's why Nina can't get that spot. She got honorable mention. So when it comes to Taki, she's going in the cool category. Okay. A character that I don't want to put in lame, but I don't necessarily want to put in cool. So I'm going to lean towards lame, and this might make some people upset. Spinal from Killer Instinct. I love the idea of a skeleton with a shield and a sword. I love his green eyes. I love that he rocks the bandana. But I don't know if he's like iconically cool enough to be in the cool category. I don't really want to put him in lame category. I should have had a category in between, but I didn't want this video to take forever. So he's kind of like lame adjacent. Like, he's not cool, but he's not lame. He's right in between here. If I had a category right here, that's where Spinal would go. So we're gonna lean him towards the lame side only because I don't have a category in between here. All right, so there's where Spinal's gonna go. Another character, okay. This is kind of unfair because they're similar in a way. So if I use my criteria that I use for Sonya Blade and Anna Williams, then that kind of forces me, unfortunately, to put Kunimitsu in honorable mention. Because if you think about Kunimitsu and Taki, they're very similar in a lot of ways. Even though Kunimitsu has a gang of mobility and she came up under Yoshimitsu, from their styles, I kind of consider them the same. Taki has the big breasts and the nice body. Kunimitsu isn't really marketed that way. She's not really known for her like endowments. So I'm gonna put her in honorable mention because they share a similar style. But if I had to pick one of the other between like the A and B version, Taki would be the A version, and I don't think that Kunimitsu's lame, so I don't want to put her in the cool because we have a category like her already. So I'm going to put her in honorable mention. As I said, the criteria is a little bit loose and we're having a little bit of fun with this. So sometimes we can kind of ride the line in a thin way, but I don't want to have everybody in the same category because that wouldn't be fun, right? So we're going to put Kunimitsu in coolest. Now the ironic part is Orchid in a way kind of has similar styles to Taki and Kunimitsu because she wields a weapon and she has dark hair, but she has the big breasts and she has her own style from Killer Instinct. What was iconic was her green and gold. That always stood out to people about her outfit. So we're gonna put her in the coolest category. I'm gonna put Orchid in the coolest category because I think she belongs. Because even though they both have weapons and dark hair and they both have nice bodies, Orchid really has her own style in the way that she moves. I always loved her in Killer Instinct, so she's gonna go in the cool category. Who else can we put in here? I'm gonna put Fei Long in honorable mention. And the reason for that is because, you know, I love my Bruce Lee archetype characters, but we have Martial Law, who is pretty much the best reincarnation of Bruce Lee we have ever seen. So based on that alone, even though that Fei Long would be kind of cool, honorable mention for Fei Long. Another character that's cool that you guys might be shocked that I put on this list, Marissa. And it's funny, right? Because I did put Zangief in the lame category because I thought big, muscular, goofy, Siberian man who slams people, I thought he was lame, right? But I kind of think that Marissa, most of the times when you see like a muscle mommy in the game, they don't seem that authentic or dope. I think Marissa's cool as fuck. I think the hair is cool as fuck. I think the way that she wears a suit with her alt costume is cool as fuck. I think her armor moves are cool. I just think that Marissa is one of the most believable muscle mommies I've ever seen in the game. And like it's something about the red hair, like the red bob, like the way that she rocks it, the red pixie cut, that shit is just fire. That bob is fucking fire. Like, look at this shit, bro. That bob is fucking fire. So we put Marissa in the cool category. All right, let's see what we got next. Oh, we gotta put her up here. She belongs 100%. Katana. What's funny is when I first made this list, I almost didn't put Katana on it because of Sonya Blade and like the female icons of MK, but then I had Sonya and Melina. But the reality is that Katana is fucking cool. She's recognizable. Katana might potentially have taken over Sonya Blade's spot as far as like MK iconism amongst like women players. I know Melina's kind of like second to none, but it's kind of like 1A, 1B with Katana. It depends on who you ask, but if Katana's not on that level, then she's on the same level as Sonya, so we're gonna put her in the cool category. Okay, next. I'm gonna put him in, I wasn't gonna put him in honorable mention at first, but now that I think about it, I'm gonna put him in honorable mention. I initially had him in cool, but I just thought of the way that I'm doing this as I do it in real time, I realized why he can't go there. So we're talking about iconic Mortal Kombat ninjas. We obviously know who the main two are, right? It's gonna be Scorpion and Sub-Zero. But Smoke was always super fucking cool. But because I don't wanna have all the MK ninjas in one category, I'm gonna put Smoke in honorable mention because he's definitely not lame and he's 100% cool, but we already have Scorpion and Sub-Zero. The ninjas in Mortal Kombat just have such an unfair advantage because they're all just awesome as fuck. So we're gonna put Smoke in honorable mention only because we don't want to crowd that lane. I might switch it around at the end, but for now we're gonna put Smoke in honorable mention. All right, next character up. Do we have anybody else who can go in honorable mention? I've been leaning back and forth on him all day. I'll come back to him. I've been leaning back and forth on the one I'm looking at. Let's put. We don't have any lame. I don't have any character that I think is lame left, so we don't gotta worry about lame anymore. Okay, so we're gonna put these two characters in because they are awesome as fuck. King is really popular. I don't love fighting against this character in any of the Tekkens, but the idea of a human who only growls but then they show English subtitles, it's kind of contradictory, but it's kind of cool at the same time. It's kind of fun. It's very unique, very original. So I'm gonna put King up there because his moveset is awesome in all of the games. The identity of a large Mexican wrestler that wears a jaguar mask that doesn't speak English, it kind of gives him like this mystique, right? This super dope. And because he has that mystique, then it's only right that Armored King goes in the same category with him because it's just like a darker version of him. And even though he's a darker version of him, they kind of have like their own uniqueness to them. So they both belong in the coolest category. That may be the first time where I put a group in because we had to, because usually I've been doing coolest category and then honorable mention if we had someone similar. But with these two, I think they just both belong up there. Like they both belong up there. Okay, Next character up. Cool. Wolf Hawkfield. One of the coolest characters in Virtua Fighter, especially his new design. I wish I would have had his icon for his new design that they showed for the new Virtua Fighter game, but it's not down here in the list. But as you see, Wolf Hawkfield has always been dope. One of the few times where like a wrestler is just awesome, like has all the style, all the flair, all the personality. Unlike Zangief, who's technically a wrestler, but he don't really got like the swag that Wolf Hawkfield got. So that's why he's going up there. I don't want to put this guy in honorable mention because he's more recognizable than honorable mention. But I don't know if he's cool only because like he's the goody two-shoes guy that has too much stoicism that almost makes him boring. So in a way, and I know a lot of people are gonna disagree with this. I was gonna put him in cool, but I think I'm gonna put Akira in honorable mention. And so my reason for that is like sometimes you have a character that's very recognizable and very iconic, but they don't really give you anything personality-wise, right? That's kind of how I used to feel about Liu Kang until they made him the fire god. It's like Akira's very recognizable. Everybody knows him from Virtua Fighter, but I don't really know him to say much or talk much or like do much. Similar to Ryu in a way, but Ryu is just too iconic because of the fact that he was in Street Fighter and he was like a mainstream figurehead of one of the biggest fighting games of all time. Akira kind of has a similar personality to Ryu, but he don't really seem to have like the cachet. So we're gonna put Akira in honorable mention. I didn't think I was gonna do that when I started this, but I changed my mind. Cool, you know I love ninjas. Kage is going in cool. I just have a bias towards ninjas. That's kind of always my thing. It's something about a masked warrior that I think is super dope and they got skills. So I'm gonna put Kage in coolest. Honorable mention. I'm looking at this character, but I don't think I'm gonna put him in honorable mention just yet. I'll hold off and see where I wanna go for him. Another cool character, this guy right here. Okay, so in Tekken, right? I didn't have like a lot of Tekken lore. I used to mash buttons when I was younger, played a fair amount of Tekken 7, played a ton of Tekken 8. One character that I always wanted to play in Tekken 7 that I never got around to was Fakaram. I didn't know anything about Fakaram other than the fact he just looks fucking cool. All those tattoos, including facial tattoos, being fucking 7 feet tall, kickboxing, whooping ass. Like, Fakaram is like the most masculine fighting game character ever. I think that's what I like about him. Like, if there was a guy who was like, this is Mr. Masculine, it's Fakaram. You probably could say M. Bison too because he's evil, but villains are always kind of like masculine. But Fakaram is like the epitome of masculinity in the fighting game. So Fakaram, damn near, I'm gonna check him at the end. Fakaram might slide into Elite Aura. We gonna see how many y'all wanna put in Elite Aura. Okay, who's next? Another cool character, one of the coolest characters, one of the coolest ideas. Remember I said this is about ideas too. A blind swordsman that can use like a spirit well, what is it called? What is this, Sento. But it's like, you know, like a telekinetic spiritual type of samurai that comes with, I mean, like, that's just fucking awesome. Like, telekinesis and being blind and being a swordsman and having Sento, like, he's one of the coolest. He could damn near be Elite Aura depending on like what goes down. Kenshi's cool as fuck. Honorable mention. This just happened to me in real time. I wasn't gonna do it at first. And I think that I have to do it only because they kind of play the same role, but they play it in different ways. So I'm gonna make these two next picks. Where's the other one? I thought I put him up here. Where? I don't see him. Did I not put him up here? I don't see him. Wait. Okay, no, I see him. Never mind. Okay. So this is why I'm gonna put him in honorable mention. I'm putting Shao Kahn in honorable mention for one reason only. Now, obviously, we know he was the big bad villain in Mortal Kombat 2, which made him iconic, right? Him and Kentaro, right? So I'm gonna put him in honorable mention based on one thing and one thing only. The first time that we ever saw Shang Tsung, we never saw a shape-shifting villain who could take souls and turn into anybody else. And because that was so cool and iconic, even when they brought Shao Kahn along in Mortal Kombat 2, and yeah, he's awesome and he's big and he's bad and he's powerful and he's hard to beat, but he doesn't got the same aura that Shang does, because Shang's voice acting, you know how cool he looks as Kerry Tagawa in the movie, his voice acting inside of the Mortal Kombat 11 game, his sly sneakiness, always conniving, being able to shapeshift. He's like, Shang's damn near Elite Aura. But I'm not gonna put anybody in Elite Aura until we are done at the end. So Shang's gonna go in coolest, which forces Shao Kahn into honorable mention because they kind of play the same role as far as like villainy in Mortal Kombat, right? All right, sorry for the sniffling and sneezing on the mic. As I said, I'm fighting the cold and I'm feeling more stuffy as I record this. Let's keep going. Cool character, always loved this character. Always thought it was super dope that he wore a mask and had a claw and was super acrobatic. Vega is just awesome to me. I love the fact that he's a pretty boy, don't touch the face. I just think that his whole mystique is like super dope. Beautiful as hell, but acrobatic as hell, but really vicious as hell at the same time. Loves the sight of blood, loves to fuck people up, but at the same time is a pretty boy in a mask and got that long, beautiful blonde hair. I just always thought that Vega was hella dope, so we're gonna put him in that spot. Put him in cool. Do I want to put him in honorable mention? I had him going for cool earlier. I think I'm going to slide him to honorable mention. Mitsurugi is going to go to honorable mention. And he's kind of going to go to honorable mention for the same reason that Akira's here. Very noble, very skilled, very cool character, very upstanding type of character, but at the same time, doesn't give you a gang of personality because of it. Always does the right thing, kind of a goody two-shoes, never too conflicted. Excuse me for burping on the mic. Kind of a goody two-shoes, never too conflicted. So I want to slide him to honorable mention. He was going to be in cool. I want to slide him to honorable mention. Okay, let's see who we got next. Okay, we're getting into the characters that really were meant to go in awesome spots. Okay, so I want to put Cervantes in the cool. I always thought he was really, really tough. The dual sword wielding, having like the evil sword that like absorbs the energy and all that cool shit, being kind of like an evil pirate, then at some point he feels like an undead pirate. I forgot his lore. I just remember how I used to feel about playing him when I used to play Soul Calibur. So we're gonna put Cervantes in the coolest category. The reason I don't speak on the Soul Calibur characters too much is because I haven't played that game in quite some time. But growing up, it was one of my favorites on Dreamcast. So that's why we're gonna put him in that category. Do I want to put him in honorable mention or cool? Because he's not lame. Sometimes characters go into honorable mention because I don't want cool to be packed up, but I don't want to put them in lame because they're more awesome than that. And I think because of the fact that this was a different character in Tekken 7 compared to Tekken 8, I'm gonna put Raven in honorable mention because I know it's like different styles of Ravens or like different roles that like Raven, Master Raven play. I forgot the lore behind all of that, but in reality, Raven's just really, really cool. But I don't know if he's iconic enough to go into the coolest category, even though his style is super fucking dope, right? And I know that for some people it's gonna upset them because Kimmy made it, but Kimmy made it based on her idea being purely original compared to any other fighting game character out there right now. We do have other cool ninjas that kind of have like, you know, the ability to drop smoke bombs and disappear. We have that with like Ryu Hayabusa and Dead or Alive, even though, and the reason I didn't put Ryu Hayabusa on this list is because he's from Ninja Gaiden, so he's like one of those IP characters I didn't put in, but that's what's gonna put Raven in honorable mention. Really a cool character, too cool to be lame, but I don't know if he's big enough to go into the cool category per se. I'm gonna put this character in cool. I was leaning towards putting him in honorable mention because there are other boxing characters like Balrog and TJ Combo, but I think Steve just has like a dope uniqueness to him. Based on the fact he's from the UK or whatever, you know, has his accent, has his really cool style. He reminds me of the movie, I don't know if you guys ever seen the movie Snatch. I think it was the movie Snatch with Brad Pitt where he was like a gypsy boxer or something like that. In a way, Steve kind of reminds me of that. And that's mainly because of his accent, but like his cool ass style, his cool ass gear, the fact that he throw good hands, I'm gonna put Steve in the coolest category. He's not gonna move up higher than that, but he's cool enough to be right there. Honorable mention. I'm gonna put this character in honorable mention only because the other three characters in his category, it's so many characters that goes in the cool category that he's in. I'm gonna put him in honorable mention, which is ironic because he was the lead character in the Street Fighter movie when Jean-Claude Van Damme played him. But I'm gonna put Guile in honorable mention. I know Guile probably feels like he should be in coolest, but we got so many iconic Street Fighter characters, we can't just have them all in that category. So I'm gonna put Guile in the honorable mention. Let's keep it moving. With that being said, because of what I said about Guile, I was gonna put Akuma in coolest, but because of that same classification I made about not overloading the cool category with Street Fighter characters, that's gonna put Akuma in honorable mention. As I said, whenever it comes to honorable mention, 9 times out of 10, it's just a character that's super duper cool, but I don't wanna stuff this category and he's too cool to be lame. So we put him in honorable mention just to acknowledge that he exists. So that's where we're putting Akuma at. Based on that same criteria, I'm gonna put Feng Wei in there. I was gonna put Feng in coolest because I like his style, I like his stoicism, I like his masculinity comparison. It's a lot like what I said about Fakaram. I'm kind of going to put him in honorable mention. I really want to put him in cool, but I'm going to put him in honorable mention just because of the same classification that I gave Akuma. So Fung is going to go in honorable mention, but he's really the type of character that should be in cool, but I don't want to stuff certain characters of the same archetype in the same spot. Cool, 100% Sonya Blade, as I said. In comparison to Nina Williams and in comparison, wait, was I calling her Anna earlier? If I called her Anna earlier, I meant to say Nina. But in comparison to Nina Williams and Sarah Bryant, obviously the blonde bombshell, the archetype for being the blonde bombshell, the most popular one, that has to go to Sonya Blade. So she's going up there. Let's see who else we got. I was going to put Scarlet. No, I am. Because I like the fact that she can manipulate blood, which is a very original style of play in regards to her almost being like a vampire, but she kind of manipulates blood and attacks you with it, but she doesn't really ever seem to suck blood like you would see like a Natara does. I don't think, have they ever confirmed if Scarlet is actually a vampire or not? Because I don't think that she is. I just think that she does blood magic. But even that idea in itself, the idea of it is super cool to me. So she's gonna go in the coolest category. Let's see as we move along. Okay. I almost feel obligated to put this guy in cool, but it's only because the other two belong in it with him. And I might even change up how I'm gonna do this. So I'm gonna place all three of these guys at once, but it's because they from the same bloodline and it kind of goes hand in hand. So I'm gonna do it this way. I was considering putting Heihachi Mishima in honorable mention. Instead, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna put him in cool because of him being such a main character in most of the Tekken series until he was made DLC for this game. And then because of their beef and how deep their beef stems and the way that like their kind of family dynamic works, I'm gonna have to put Kazuya in cool with him also, just because you can't have one without the other, kind of like the A and B thing I said about, Sector and Cyrax, you know what I'm saying? And like Armor King and King. So for that reason, I'm gonna put Heihachi and Kazuya in that same category. And since Jin didn't really get his moment in the sun until recently with Tekken 8, I'm gonna really put Jin in honorable mention. He obviously is on the same par with them in regards to like coolness, but because of the history behind these two and the recognizability, I can't justify putting Heihachi down here. And because Heihachi and Kazuya go hand in hand, I'm gonna sacrifice and put Jin in the honorable mention category, right? Next character that goes in cool, we're gonna put Dhalsim up here for one reason and one reason only. It's kind of the same reason that we put Kimberly up here. Just a very unique character. The yoga flame, the ability to stretch across the screen, the skeletons around the neck, his whole entire style can't be compared to anything else. And so for that reason, he has to go into the cool category. Next one up. Who do we wanna touch next? I'm trying to make it where we put a little bit of suspense at the end before we get the moving and shaking. I'm gonna put this guy in cool. Awesome taekwondo skill, you know what I'm saying? Really cool hair, a pretty boy, kind of like Vega in a way, but don't have the same color hair. But then the thing that kind of puts him over the hump out of honorable mention, even though him and Vega are kind of similar to me in their personalities, it's the motorcycle. It's the fact that he rides the fucking motorcycle and has that unique ass style when he has his taekwondo gear, but then also his gear on the motorcycle is dope as hell too. So we're gonna put Harang, who I hate fighting against, by the way. I think all Harang players are apes except for K-Wits and Speed Kicks, but outside of that, even though you guys are apes and you play like gorillas, Harang is going in the cool category. All right, let's see. Who we got left? Jago, really cool character. Don't want to put a lot of time into talking about him. Jago has just always been awesome. Shadow Jago's even more awesome. So he's going in the cool category. He belongs up there. Where is who else I'm looking for that game? I thought I had Fulgore in this list, don't I? I swore I put Fulgore in here. Didn't I? Did I not? Okay, there he is. I'm about to say, I know I put him in here. All right, so we're gonna put Fulgore in coolest because he's iconic. Him and Jago are probably the two most recognizable characters in coolest outside of Orchid, maybe. It's probably him and Jago, because like when I bought this game on SNES, Fulgore was on the cover. I considered putting Cinder in here, but I don't think he stands out enough. So between Fulgore, Jago, and Orchid, we got them up here. Then we got TJ Combo in the honorable mention category, right? All right, we getting down to the nitty gritty now. We getting down to all the cool characters. So based on what I said about not wanting to stuff all the characters in a certain category, I feel like I'm obligated to pick between Noob Saibot or Ermac to go into honorable mention. And that's only because I don't want to put all the MK Ninjas in there. So because of that, and because of the lore of Sub-Zero, or Bihan rather, becoming Noob Saibot, and then Kuai Liang becoming Sub-Zero. I'm gonna put Noob Saibot in cool because of that, because you kind of can't tell the new Sub-Zero story without telling Noob Saibot's story. So that puts him in cool, which automatically relegates Ermac down to honorable mention. And Ermac is awesome as fuck. You know, the whole we are many because of him having souls and being like the epitome of tortured souls fighting, and his skill set, his telekinesis and all that shit. Awesome, awesome, awesome. But I'm gonna put him in honorable mention. How do we feel about Rain? Because I think Rain is cool, but Rain's changed a lot. In Mortal Kombat 1, he's very different. I know I said we sticking to like just the idea of the character. And Rain was a secret character at one point. Rain's he's gonna barely creep into the coolest category, only because he was a secret character at one point. His moveset is really awesome. The fact that he was a tribute to Prince in a certain way with the whole Purple Rain idea, I'm gonna let him creep into coolest. Rain is like barely in the cliff of hanging in the coolest instead of honorable mention. So we're gonna put him in there, right? Okay, we're done with honorable mention because all these characters left are just awesome ass characters. Cool. M. Bison. We're gonna put M. Bison in here. And to be honest with you, I know some people love the classic M. Bison design. I kind of like the new Vagabond M. Bison design from Street Fighter 6. I think it's really, really fucking awesome. So we're gonna put M. Bison in the cool category, kind of in that Fakaran way. Tons of masculinity, tons of awesome, never shows weakness, killed Chun-Li's parents, killed his own dad. Like, he don't give a fuck about nothing. That's why he going in the coolest category, because he's just cold-hearted, right? I can't put him in honorable mention. I considered it, but I think I'm not going to. I was gonna put him in cool, but I think Cabal belongs in honorable mention. Very cool character, very unique character, the hooks, the speed, all that good shit. But I don't want to feel like I'm playing favoritism to a certain franchise. So even though he's really, really fucking awesome, we're gonna put him in honorable mention. As I've said many times, don't get offended by honorable mention. Honorable mention is too cool to be lame, but not cool enough to be iconic. So that's where honorable mention comes into play. So remember that. So with that being said, Cabal goes in that. Raiden's going to go into cool because he's like, you reckon, like Raiden is just so recognizable, he has to go in cool, especially when it comes to like, we got to put Raiden in cool because of his iconism in regards to that, and then like the awesome roles he played in the movie and shit like that. So we're going to put Raiden in cool. I don't want to put Raiden in honorable mention because he's too important, but I don't want him to have elite aura. Now, if it was Dark Raiden does have elite aura, but that's not his whole timeline. That's not his whole storyline. So because of that, we got to relegate him to cool. Who's next? Spawn. Now, this one was a tricky one because of what I said about the eye. Matter of fact, I'm going to put Spawn in honorable mention because I got to stick to what I said about my IP argument. Now, Spawn was a guest character, cool as fuck, but he does come from a comic book, so that kind of puts him out of the challenge. So we're going to put him in honorable mention just because he's cool, but he kind of has an unfair advantage because he comes from an IP, and we're talking about just fighting game characters strictly. So because of that, Spawn goes in honorable mention. Next up. Okay, we are getting into the super cool characters. Now, this can go one of two ways. Because I used to not really fuck with this character back in the day, the Jean-Claude Van Damme knockoff. But then they gave him so much humor that they kind of made him credible. I would almost want to put Johnny Cage in the lame category because he can be so goofy sometimes. But then it's like he's so fucking cool and funny because he tells the one-liners and shit like that. And he was able to bag Sonya. And as a matter of fact, if Sonya's in the cool category and he bagged Sonya and had a kid with her, yeah, he raised her up. So Johnny Cage, he got to go into the cool category. He got in Sonya cheeks. He got to go in there. He almost was in lane because of the silly one-liners, but those one-liners got him in Sonya cheeks, so he going in the cool category. All right, now we getting down to the figureheads of this shit. Now, the only person that we have left that's not necessarily a figurehead is Fujin and Cammy. And Cammy could be the sum that's arguable, right? So Fujin, we're gonna put Fujin in cool because, I mean, a wind god with a sword that can float. Fujin is so fucking cool in Mortal Kombat 11. Like, just the idea of him, the way he moves, the crouching tiger, hidden dragon style of running on the sky, maneuvering the sword, having the needle gun. I mean, like, Fujin is just so fucking cool. Like, the idea of him, he's cooler than Raiden, and he's the younger brother. He's cool as fuck. Like, Fujin is probably the coolest character in this entire list. As far as like, if I was a hero or like a warrior with like these type of elemental abilities, I would want to be Fujin. Fujin is cooler than everybody on this fucking list. He just does cool ass shit. So Fujin for sure. He's gonna go in cool. Speaking of cool and iconic, we gotta put Melina in there. So we got Sonya Blade, we got Melina, and we got Katana. So those are all the MK princesses. They pretty much have to get in there by default. I know, like, I said the thing about keeping certain characters out because of, like, I don't want to have too many from the same franchise. But the reality is, like, you can't have Femme Fatale in Mortal Kombat without mentioning Melina, Katana, and Sonya Blade. They are automatic. They have to be automatic. And especially since we got, as a matter of fact, because I put her in there, this is going to move Scarlet down to honorable mention. Because Scarlet doesn't deserve to be on the level with them. So even though I love Scarlet from a cool perspective, she doesn't deserve to be in the same mentioning as Melina, Katana, and Sonya Blade. So we're gonna move Scarlet to honorable mention because of that reason. Now we got all these characters down here, and I don't want the video to be crazy long. We already here 45 minutes. So we got Ken, we got Ryu, Ken, Chun-Li, Cammy, Martial Law, Scorpion, Liu Kang, and Sub-Zero, right? So we're gonna put all of them in the cool category because we obviously know all of them belong. So now this comes down to who's elite aura of these characters, right? Because I said I wanna try to put 5 in elite aura, and we're gonna leave it at that. So we're gonna put Ryu, Ken, Chun-Li, Cammy, and to be honest with you, Cammy's popular enough. People love her body, and she was always sexy. Obviously because of like the bodysuit that kind of showed the cheeks, so that got her a lot of mention as Chun-Li. But because we have Chun-Li here, who is the queen of Street Fighter, we can't necessarily have Cammy mentioned with her. So that's gonna move Cammy to honorable mention. It's not really that Cammy doesn't deserve to be up in the coolest area, but as I said, honorable mention is when you're too cool to be lame, but not iconic enough to be up there at the top. And since we have Chun-Li here, we can't act as if Chun-Li and Cammy are on the same level. So now we have all of this right here. So now we have all the characters that we want to have where we have them. Now, let me just break down for each of these characters because I got them in the cool category. So let me talk about them before I do elite aura. So when it comes to Ryu, Ryu is cool as fuck because he's Mr. Masculinity, but the problem is, it's the same problem that I used to have with Liu Kang before they gave Liu Kang like internal conflicts and made him the fire god and shit. Ryu is always so damn perfect. And I've never been a fan of perfect characters. It's the same reason that I used to hate Captain America until he wore the black suit and got the beard. It's the same reason I don't like Superman, but I'm a Batman fanboy. I don't like perfect characters who never do anything wrong. I like there to be conflict. I like there to be some type of character development that makes me interested. When you're the guy who's like always training and always gonna do the right thing, you may be the iconic figurehead of the franchise, but that doesn't move me. It's the same reason that I don't care that much for Akira. So Ryu is in coolest, because obviously he's iconic and he does have a ton of aura, but he's a goody two-shoes. Then you got my dog Ken, who plays a lot like Ryu, but has a little more flair to his game. On top of that, he has the embattled situation where he lost his family, and he was a rich boy with the long blonde hair and used to drive the red Corvette and all that shit and had the red gi. So between Ryu and Ken, even though Ryu is the more recognizable of the two, I think I'm gonna give Ken the elite aura of those two. So he's gonna get the elite aura of that. Because we have to have a queen of this shit, let's talk about the letter. Because we have to have a queen of this shit, we got the queens of fighting games right here, right? We got Chun-Li, we got Melina, we got, really, I don't even know if Melina's considered a queen of fighting games. She's just the queen of Mortal Kombat. So really we got Chun-Li and we got Katana. Them kind of the two queens, right? I think Katana is more popular than Melina in regards to being like the queen of MK, partially because of the fact that they treat her so beautiful and regal, where Melina was always more vicious. So that was kind of like a favoritism right there. So we have Chun-Li, we have Orchid, who I really don't think is on Chun-Li and Katana's level. And I think because Chun-Li is like the princess of this shit out the gate, like the queen, she's the true queen of like fighting games, so recognizable from the OG days. We're gonna give Chun-Li elite aura over Katana. This is a close battle between these two, but we're gonna give Chun-Li elite aura. Now, we have Liu Kang, we have Martial Law, Scorpion, and Sub. So let's talk about Scorpion and Sub last. We have Liu Kang and we have Martial Law. Now we have the Fire God who has elemental shit. But we have the icon of Bruce Lee, who we've seen in many different games and many different styles. We've seen it with Fei Long in Street Fighter. We've seen it with Martial Law right here. We've seen it with Liu Kang. These are all the Bruce Lee archetype characters. They always make one in some type of fighting game, right? But I would say, because Liu Kang is the head of the franchise, I'm gonna give him the slight nod. Do I wanna do that? See, it's like this. This is my criteria for these two when it comes to coolness. Liu Kang's stoicism and his skill is fucking dope, but martial law sauce. His sauce in Tekken 8 is undeniable. Like, this is the coolest. You know what? I love Liu Kang, and this might feel like betrayal. This might piss some people off. I'm gonna put martial law in elite aura based on one thing and one thing only. He is the closest thing we have to truly Bruce Lee in any fighting game. Like, legit, from animations to I Hate Rich People to his style to his demeanor. Martial law is 100% the most closest reenactment of Bruce Lee that we've ever seen in a fighting game that's fun. So even though this kind of feels like betrayal, I want to put Liu Kang up there too, but I want to hold this to 5. So we're gonna put martial law in there. Now we have Scorpion and Sub-Zero. Now of the two, the ironic of me putting cool because of coldness and iconic aura, Sub-Zero is like a lot more cooler than Scorpion in a way. Even though they have coolness for their own reasons. Because Sub-Zero is fucking cold. Like, now I'm not talking about Kuai Liang when they become friends. I'm talking about like the classic Sub-Zero, who essentially Noob Saibot was, Bihan was before he transitioned to Noob Saibot. So I'm talking in that context of Sub-Zero, right? That Sub-Zero is very vicious and very brutal. He doesn't care about anything. He's very cold-hearted, which is fitting of his character, right? However, of these two, and even though he's, you know, fueled by revenge and like want to avenge his family and his clan, Sub-Zero is really, really cold-hearted and awesome, but Scorpion is undeniably probably on the Mount Rushmore of fighting games. I think if you was to ask anybody who knew the Mortal Kombat lore and you asked them Sub-Zero, Raiden, Scorpion, Johnny Cage, or Liu Kang, I think almost everybody would recognize Scorpion. Where if you took off Liu Kang's headband, they might not recognize him. They might not recognize Johnny Cage. They might recognize Sub-Zero as equally as Scorpion, but I think Scorpion is just the more popular of the two for whatever reason. I don't even really like have like a biasness to this argument. I just think that Scorpion is the more popular of the two, and he's like on the Mount Rushmore fighting games, right? And the funny thing is, you could say that same thing about Ryu being on the Mount Rushmore over Ken, but as I said, I don't like the person who's a super goody two-shoes. So in reality, this spot probably should be Ryu's, but I'm gonna give the edge to Ken just based on aura. Because if we were just talking about aura and like iconism, then Sub-Zero will go up here too. But as I said, the coolest character on this list is Mr. Fujin. I want to give him his respect by putting him in the front. And so now that we have the 5 elite aura characters, because Fujin is the coolest on the 9, he might not be the most iconic, he might not be the most recognizable by far, but from just a coolness standpoint, Fujin belongs here. So with that being said, now let's put an order into our elite aura. I'm gonna keep elite aura for Fujin at the top because I just think he's cooler than everybody on here. If I was to look at these 4 remaining, I'm going to put Scorpion in slot 2 just because he's recognizable. And now if we're taking my own bias out of this and we're just talking about elite aura and who deserves to be at the top based off iconism, I'm going to be fair and take Ken out, and I'm going to put Ryu in slot 3. He just has to. In fact, Ryu probably really is slot 1 when it comes to the ranking of the order of like the people that will recognize them, but I'm just talking about from an aura and icon perspective. So I'm going to put Ryu in slot 3 because of that. Then I'm going to put Chun-Li in slot 4 because she's the queen of fighting games, as we all know. And then we have the reenactment of Bruce Lee, and everybody knows who Bruce Lee is. Now, everybody doesn't know who martial law is, but everybody knows Bruce Lee. So if you saw Bruce Lee, or if you saw martial law in Tekken 8, you'd be like, oh, that's just Bruce Lee. So from an iconic perspective, from a coolness perspective, from a swag perspective, and from an aura perspective, this is going to be my list. Now, as you notice, I showed some favoritism to Ryu by moving him up, even though I would rather have Ken here, because this is my list. This is my list. I know you guys are going to argue in the comments, but this is my list. But when we try to put in the totality of things, and I take my own biasness out, and we just rate it on coolness and how dope they are, I think this is the list right here. MK11 Fujin, even though we're talking about the idea of the character, but MK11 Fujin is just one of the coolest characters you're ever going to see animation-wise. Scorpion is super duper iconic, and Ryu is just as iconic. This is probably like 2A, 2B. They probably like go hand in hand. They have that level of cachet, right? Then we have the queen of fighting games, and then we have the very recognizable Bruce Lee. So with that being said, we got our list right here. This is our top 5. And to be honest, based on the original tweet, they said that the MK11 roster wasn't that popular or like wasn't that cool. when you look at my list, I'm kind of not really straying away from that. I mean, I only have 2 Mortal Kombat characters up here, and this character is up here just based off how cool he is in regards to like the stuff that he does, like from an aura perspective. But he's not necessarily like the most known on here. But let's zoom this in a bit. Look at this. We got Fujin, Scorpion, Ryu, Chun-Li, martial law. Cool category. I think we did a pretty fair job on this. Let's see, let's see, honorable mention, we got TJ, let's read it one more time before I wrap this video up. We got TJ Combo, Leroy, Quan Chi, Brian. We got honorable mention for Nina Williams, honorable mention for Yoshimitsu, honorable mention for Chip Zunov, Sarah Bryant, T-Hawk, Terry, Kunimitsu, Fei Long, Human Smoke, Akira, Shao Kahn, Mitsurgi, Raven, Gao, Akuma, Fang, Jin, Ermac, Cabal, Spawn, who really shouldn't be on the list at all because he's a different IP. We have Scarlet and Cammy. And remember what I said about the honorable mention category. The honorable mention category is too cool to be lame, but not iconic enough on the level with the big characters that they should be next to them. They're cool enough to be up there as far as like aura and skill go, but they don't deserve to be next to like the figureheads of this list, right? Lame characters. JP wearing his Gucci and all that nonsense and doing his bullshit magic, lame. Zangief, a big goofy jobber that just slams people, lame. Baldo, a freaky nasty boy who do like little zesty movements, lame. Blanca, iconic but just kind of goofy to me, you know what I'm saying? Always kind of like, not really, he's not as vicious as I feel like he should be. He's always been like kind of goofy, so that's why he's lame. Kung Lao should be up higher, but they treat him poorly, so he's in the lame category. Spinal, cool character. Spinal is really, let's show Spinal a little more respect. We're gonna put Spinal in cool. Spinal deserves being cool. Then for the cool category, all the dope characters who can't necessarily be like on the figurehead of it all. And Fujin is just the odd man out because he's just so damn cool in regards to what he does. But we got Spinal, Ken, Sub-Zero, Liu Kang, Melina, Johnny Cage, Raiden, M. Bison, Rain, Noob Saibot, Fogor, Jago, Harang, Dalsim, Kazuya, Heihachi, Sonya. Damn. Yeah, Sonya can't go in the elite aura category just because of Chun-Li. I wanted to put only one or two women in there, but she can't beat out Chun-Li. So Sonya, Katana, Steve, Cervantes, Vega, Shang Tsung, Kenshi, Fakaram, who really does got elite aura, but I'm not gonna put him at the top. Kage, Wolf, King and Armor King, Marissa, Orchid, Taki, Maxi, Kimberly, Eddie, pre-Tekken 8, Sector, Cyrax, and Goro. And then the elite aura characters just based on a combination of skill, sauce, being recognizable, with the exception, like, remember, Fuji's not super recognizable. He just got so much sauce, you gotta have him in there. Then these 4 are recognizable because you know Scorpion, you know Ryu, you know Chun-Li, and you know Bruce Lee, who is just the reincarnation of martial law. So with that being said, that is my list. I try to keep it at 45 minutes, but it looks like we're close to an hour. So I'm gonna wrap this video up. Let me know in the comments what you guys think about my list and who you would put at the top for elite aura. So next time, it's your boy Lou Streets. I am gone. Peace.